Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed by the guests and hosts of this show are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the company or the show itself. The discussions and statements made during this program are intended for informational purposes. Listeners are encouraged to critically evaluate the content and form their own opinion.
Good day, Explora bookworms. Welcome again to the program where we explore and talk books. My name is Joel, and I'll be your host for this episode, yet another episode of Explora Books, where we explore and talk to another author who has such an amazing story to tell. We deliver messages across the globe, and that's what Explora Books do best in marketing and publishing and making stories available throughout the world. And so we're going to do that once again here at Explora Talks. Now, for this episode, we would like to introduce an author who has written such an emotional but fun, entertaining, but at the same time, something that you can learn from. This is the author Lou Gallo, the author of Chevy at the Levee. Welcome, Lou, to the program Explora Talks.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Now, Lou, I'm sure our audience are very curious about where you are right now. Where do you live? What state are you in?
I'm in Texas. I'm near Houston. I'm halfway between Houston and Galveston.
Oh, wow.
That's
You
way to
have
put
a
it.
beautiful place. I've been there once, and it's a beautiful place. Now, Lou, I want to first talk about your background because it's interesting that you wrote something like an emotional memoir that is dedicated to your wife. But I want to know first, what is your background? I'm sure you have a profession or career that you were once very focused on. What was that career?
Actually, I was in the IT industry for many years,
Wow.
um, doing a variety of different types of work. But I
Mhm.
ended up being a consultant for
Mhm.
many Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
And I had a consulting firm, and
Mhm.
I sold that firm
Mhm.
and tried to retire, but I'm still working. Yeah, I went from IT to event planning. So I've been in that business for almost 20 years now.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
that's where I am.
Reminds me of my dad, Lou, because he's retired, but he keeps on working. Because, when you've been working for too long and you've
Yes,
invested and you're so committed to really waking up and having a purpose
yes,
in waking up every day, you feel something is missing. Am I right?
yes, that's
Now,
true.
you're gonna look for it,
Yes.
right?
Now I'm
Now,
always going to have to, sorry, go ahead.
Now, I'm really very interested because this is a book that is one of a kind. Let's first talk about the title because the title is really very interesting. It doesn't strike right away it strikes an interest to the minds of the readers, but at the same time, it gives curiosity. Chevy at the Levee. Um, Reminds me of the song American Pie. Drove my
Yeah,
Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. That
yeah.
was one of my favorite songs as a child. So tell us about the title and what prompted you to decide on really publishing this title.
Well, the reason why I named it that is my wife and I used to visit uh, the levee and have picnics. And
Yeah.
this was in my hometown.
Mhm.
And there was a private area that was, peace and quiet. It was just
Yeah.
quiet time for us. So I
Mhm.
felt that it was appropriate to key off of that name and but not copy drove my Chevy to the levee. Uh, that wasn't it at all. We were at the levee, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes, of course. Now, from the title and from your explanation, it is a memorable place for you, Chevy at the Levee. And I want to know first, there is a subtitle, Dreams.
Yes.
How about dreams? Why did you decide on using dreams? What is with dreams?
Well, the dreams involves some weird dreams that I had during my grieving days,
Wow.
and they were very strange, and I thought they were very unique,
Mm,
and I really didn't talk to anybody about them.
mm,
But I think they more or less helped me go through a grieving process,
mm.
um, for better or worse. And it took several years to get through all of that. So it
Wow.
was a very key part of the story, and that's why I call it dreams.
Wow, wow, that's powerful. That's really very interesting, Lou. Now, Dreams is about romance, it's about traveling and adventure and the loss of a
Right.
spouse. So it is like a combination of happiness and sadness. And of course, I think it's about moving on as well. Am I right, Lou? It's about the grieving process that you've gone through, which is something that a lot of us, people will go through in their lives. This is a natural process in our lives. Now, please talk to us about your wife this time, because I'm sure she is, as I can sense it, she's one of a kind. She's very special, a very special human for you. Talk to us about who she is.
She is a was a person that if she walked into a room, she could light up the room. She
Wow.
could light up Grosvenor Square in London. She had a very upbeat personality, always smiling, laughing, and
Mhm.
people just fell in love with her.
Mhm.
Just on the spur of the moment, and she would make you feel good. Put it that way. And
Wow.
strangers would walk up to her and talk to her about their own private uh, issues. Just poured
Mhm.
out to her. So she was that
Wow.
kind of person, and loving, uh, always upbeat, as I said, and
Mhm.
easy to get along with. And I
Wow.
don't think she had any enemies at all during her
For
life.
sure.
Yeah.
She's a happy person, happy
Yeah.
soul. Tell us about how you met your wife, Lou. I'm very interested.
Well, I was a Marine Guard at the American Embassy in London,
Mhm.
and one day she walked in the door,
Mhm.
and she dropped her head in embarrassment because she was walking in front of a bunch of Marines,
Mhm.
and their high heel shoes would go click, click, click on the marble floor very fast. She had her
Yeah.
head down, and then our eyes met,
Mhm.
and that's how we met. Uh,
Wow.
it changed my life forever. It was
Wow.
something
And
that
that's the
happened.
start. That's
Yeah,
the start of the love story. Now,
yeah,
in this book, there were this about Rome, it's about romance, travel, and adventure. So I can sense that you travel a lot with your wife. Tell us about the
yeah.
highlights of your relationship that is written in the book. What were the highlights?
Well, the highlights were that we were meant for each other. We could feel that. We both loved to dance, and we loved children when we had our kids.
Mhm.
And she loved sports,
Mhm.
and I love sports.
Mhm.
And we had a soccer club actually, and I
Mhm.
had a women's team on it, and
Mhm.
she was a player on that team, and
Mhm.
she was very good.
Mhm.
So uh, we had an upbeat relationship
Mhm.
uh, normally, and uh, there were a lot of commonalities, a lot of things that we enjoyed together.
Wow. And it's like, it's like she's the missing puzzle of your life. She completes your life. And We, imagine a life filled with happiness, romance, and
Yeah,
you feel complete, and suddenly there was a tragedy that struck your partnership, your
yeah.
the love of your life. Can you tell us about that? How did you find out about this incurable disease?
Well, it was in California. We were at the San Francisco airport,
Mhm,
and Pat had visited me. I was an assignment,
mhm,
and she was ready to go back home to Dallas, catch an airplane. And she was about ready to board the airplane. She turned and started crying. And that was completely unlike her.
mhm,
And she turned around and went into the uh, tunnel ramp, and the door slammed shut between us. And I
mhm,
was frozen in place. I
mhm,
didn't know what was going on.
mhm,
And I rushed back and booked a flight back to Dallas.
mhm,
And we had gone to my regular doctor, and but then we went to the emergency room,
mhm,
and they found that she had
mhm.
a brain tumor, and that's how we found out in the emergency room.
Okay.
And it was a grueling experience for me, of
Mm.
course. And
So from the time, I'm sorry. So from the time you found out about this brain tumor, how long was it uh, that she suffered this kind of disease until her passing?
it was about 3 months.
Wow, that's
We were
fast.
back, yeah, we were
Very,
back in Dallas, and
wow.
I had to watch her fade in hospital rooms and rehab centers. And then um, she had surgery, and that didn't work. So
Yeah.
she passed away after
Wow, that
about
was
3 months.
fast.
Yeah,
Very fast. And
yeah.
and
It
it's
was a
it's
yeah fast acting cancer. Yeah,
it was very hard for you for sure because there was no time to prepare. Am I
yeah,
right? It's very fast. You found out about it. You tried your best to cure that somewhat incurable disease and fighting it off, but it ended up in a tragic way. And our condolences for losing your wife, by the way, Lou. Now,
yeah,
let's also reveal the grieving experiences that you dealt with because this is where possibly most of the book really delves on the denial of loss, the handling of unmerited survival guilt, but
yes,
and going through and overcoming grief. But what I don't understand here is the survivor guilt that you felt.
yeah,
Talk to us. Why did you feel that way? And for sure, you don't understand why it felt like that. But
yeah.
why do you think you felt that way?
Well, it's an interesting phenomenon because I think most people suffer this,
Yeah.
and basically, I always thought I would go first, and that
Mhm.
didn't happen.
Mhm.
And you ask the question, why?
Wow. Mhm.
Why her? Because she was so loving,
Mhm.
and she was just a good person for her
Mhm.
life.
Yeah.
And, and you feel a little bit guilty about it. Just it's a normal, I think, a normal
Mhm.
response.
Mhm.
Uh, there's one thing you feel that I experienced and I never thought about was that sorrow and joy
Mhm.
can be in the same heartbeat. You know,
Sorrow and
you're
joy
trying
can.
to survive grief, uh, and they both occupy uh, your very soul, actually, sorrow and grief. And I
Wow.
found that out through that process.
Wow. So those are one of the lessons that you've learned from the grief and the the process, because they say that the grief is a process and it took you 7 years,
Yeah,
7 years to finally move on and really accept the reality that she's
yeah,
already not with you. Now, by the way, for all our books, Explora bookworms, you can get a copy of Lou's beautiful book, Chevy at the Levee Dreams, and it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and other leading digital outlets. So grab your copy now. And I think this is a book that is so inspirational, Lou. It's a book that is not just dedicated to your wife, but it's also dedicated for sure for those who are dealing with the same suffering right now. A lot of
yes,
people have lost their loved ones. I, for one, I've lost my mom a year and a half ago, and it was very hard to deal with that, knowing that
yeah,
there were a lot of words that were not said, words that, things that you could have done and you were not able to do it. In your case, Lou, I want to know, were there words that were not said? But you had 3 months to deal with prepare a preparation before her death. But were there things that you should have done that you were not able to do? Because those are the things that actually hurt a lot.
yeah. Are you talking about during the 3 month period?
Yeah, during the 3 month period, were there things that were you able to complete everything and say that, you've done everything for her and you have done what you are supposed to do and said what you need to say?
Yeah. Um, in that period, uh, you should be planning things
Yeah, of
uh,
course.
and talking to your surviving family and making connections.
Mm,
In this case, uh, Pat's uh, sister and her husband happened to be in the U.S. visiting, so it was good that they were there
mm,
and they were able to visit with her briefly.
yeah.
So it was good to have people make contact with her during that period before we lost her. And I think that's important to have the family support your grieving process as well as their grieving process.
Right.
Uh, and you have to work with each other.
Yeah.
And that's something I think people need to remember
Yeah,
that
of course.
family is important.
And the support system that you have.
Yes.
What other support systems did you have? What were the support system during that period, especially the first year that you were grieving? What
Well,
was, yeah, go ahead.
I happen to belong to a military organization, the
Mm,
Marine Association, and I was involved in being an official. And they visited, they came to the funeral,
mm,
and they also did a ceremony for us. And that was, you know, pretty unique.
yeah, that's
And
right.
um, during our marriage, by the way, we had a bagpiper, and
Mm,
we had a bagpiper doing our funeral. So
mm,
that was kind of a unique touch again.
yeah, and it somehow comforted you
Oh, yes.
with the
Yeah.
family, of course,
I
having
felt support
people to
from all
support.
ends,
Yeah. So
very
what would
good.
you say to the readers, Lou? Do you th who are the kind of readers that you want to reach out for this kind of book?
I think people who are 30, between 30 and 60 years old, maybe older, would be able to relate to this type of story. And I think younger people as well, because it's a love story. It was my love letter, in fact, in
Mhm.
the book. It's a love letter to
Mhm.
my wife.
Wow.
And I think most females and
Mhm.
some guys too would enjoy the loving part, the
Mhm.
romance, and the travel. There's some
Mhm.
interesting parts in the book having to do with different countries
Wow.
and unique experiences that
Mhm.
people would find interesting.
Wow, that's amazing, Lou. But I'm sure that the last part would be where you suffered the loss of your wife, the love of your life. But tell us about how you ended this book, because a lot of people doesn't want a bad ending, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
What is that relief? Is there a relief? What part of the book, in the last part, how did you end the book, if I may ask?
well, the ending had to do with um, just a religious type thing where my last words were Pat telling me it'll be okay. We'll see you again. We'll meet again, more more or less, in the afterlife. And I kind of wound it down to that. But the grieving part was over with at that point. But you're still grieving. It never ends.
Of course, of course. There's a
Yeah,
scar that's been left in your heart, right? There's a dent in your heart that will never fade, and it's
that's
going to
right.
be there forever. But we await for our loved ones to be who passed to be
Yeah,
to rejoin us in
yeah,
in eternity. We believe that
exactly.
there's an afterlife right there, and they're just waiting for us, and we will have our own time. It's just
Yeah,
that your wife, she went ahead,
yeah,
but that's where, we have to, I think that the lesson here, Lou, is to really live our best life every single day and be thankful for the life that the
right.
life that we and appreciate it. What was your perspective finally of life after the death of your wife? For sure, there is a change of heart, a change of mindset.
Yeah,
When I lost my mom, for example, I really would want to make use of my time spending it with the people I love because I might
yes.
lose. So what was its effect to you? What was the change of mindset in your
Well, I
part?
think the main thing, and there are many things actually I can refer to, but you learn that again, joy and sorrow coexist. I mentioned that earlier, but it can coexist. So there's no need to be depressed all the time. You need to find yourself, give yourself a break, get rid of guilt, and stay in touch with your support group, your family, and your friends, and make new friends. Try to live your life without the loss of your loved one. Uh, I mean, without your loved one, it's difficult to do. You're not going to find another person, I don't believe, that can emulate her and take her place. Never. But you can just work at being occupied and doing things that make you feel good and not be too depressed all the time.
Yeah, and wallow in sadness, and
Yeah,
move on with our lives, and know that there is a glimmer of hope that awaits every one of
yeah,
us.
yeah,
And life must go on, I should say.
exactly.
Thank you for sharing your story. And finally, please invite everyone to get a copy of your book. This is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, but I'd like to have Lou here. I'll give you a space to invite everyone to grab a copy of your book.
Yes, yeah, very good. I'm with that too.
Tell our audience, get a copy of my book. What, Again, it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Where can they get a copy of this?
Well, probably Amazon's the best place,
Yeah.
but it's available at Barnes and Noble and all of the bookstores, online or physical places. So it is available wherever you shop, and or you can somehow get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to send you a copy. Uh, and Yeah, there you have it. This is America. We've got outlets all over the place.
That's right. Now, Lou, lastly, before we leave with a final message, I want to know from you, how is it working with Explora Books team? What was the experience like working with your team here at Explora Books?
Well, so far it's been good, and they've opened up avenues that I didn't have before. So I'm pleased. I'm blessed with people there who are uh, very helping, and just I'm pleased with it. I forgot to
Thank
turn
you.
my phone off. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I didn't even hear it. Thank you, Lou, for your time. Thank you for your time. And again, we commit here at Explora Books to bringing this book and the story of your beautiful wife and your own story of recovery, of moving on, and of course, grieving. There's a lot of emotions here, even romance, travel, and adventure. It's all in one, ladies and gents. It's available on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Chevy at the Levee with the author Lou Gallo. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
and see you again in our next episodes, hopefully. Goodbye for now.
Very good. I look forward. Bye.
Thank you so much, Lou. There you have it, Lou Gallo, ladies and gents, and Explora Bookworms, the amazing author of Chevy at the Levee. Grab a copy of Chevy at the Levee now through Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, and other leading digital outlets. You can key in on your computer Chevy at the Levee by Lou Gallo. His Gallio is Gallio. Grab a copy now and experience the adventure, the romance, and that such deep message that he has. Have it placed in your heart and experience it yourself, being able to navigate how he navigated the turmoils of his life. So again, see you next time at our next episode of Explora Talks. This has been Joel, your host for today. See you again next time. Goodbye.